Probably the most interesting thing I noticed was the clarity when I first did those 2 weeks on the carnivore diet. I just remember feeling like I could see things better and I wasn't having, people say brain fog, whatever that is for how you're thinking, how you're operating. But I just feel like my clarity is better. My energy is better. My sleep is better. And I think I experienced, I didn't understand it at the time in like the late 90s because I just am the type of person like I need to push through. So if I was feeling like anxious or not having a great day or whatever, or I just need to lay down, I probably would say, no, like I got to go for that run. I got to do this. So I was always pushing myself, but I think feeling like I can do it without having all that mental angst has been an improvement. I'm 8 years cancer thriving. So that, has been great. And I've done a lot of other biohacking like things to kind of improve myself and all that. But yeah, really adopting an animal-based lifestyle. I would say in 2021, 2022 was my final surrender of like, I need this to be my lifestyle. Like stop fighting it. I know you think you love your vegetables, but I think adding the fruits every once in a while gives me something that makes me feel like I have nature's candy and not feel like I only have to eat meat. So that has been helpful.
Yeah, good for you for finding what works for you ultimately. I mean, that's been my sort of thing, find what works. Some people just don't do well with fruit and it messes them up, but
Right.
whatever, if it works for you, it works for you. I want, it's interesting that, here's an interesting observation. So you have a significant portion of your colon is gone, you said sigmoid colon. So, it's 20, 25, 30% of your colon or something like that is missing. You assume you still have your ascending and transverse part of descending colon. But it's interesting that humans can survive. I mean, there are people with complete colectomies that are walking around, they're surviving and thriving in a lot of ways, in many cases. And it goes to the fact that we are a species that doesn't need our colon to survive. And what is one of the functions of a colon from a nutrition standpoint? Well, it ferments some of these fiber and stuff like that. And we get a small amount of short chain fatty acids from it. From the people that say that these things are essential, I always say, well, there's people that don't even have a colon and they're alive and they're doing well. Why would it be essential? So it's clearly not. And people say, well, it's optimal and things like that. But I again, when I continue to see people not eating fiber or not eating any significant fiber, and they are literally in the best health of their life, I just wonder about how optimal it is. And so it's a debate people will continue to have because it's like, well, we've got these meta-analyses of population-based studies, which to me are kind of worthless. I don't think you can't really use that for much of anything, but interesting. A lot of people that sort of go down this plant-based route get really into the ethical side of it. They get, I don't want to eat an animal because they're so cute and cuddly and they kind of totally disregard all the other animals that are killed in food production
Right.
intentionally. I mean, a lot of people, well, it's not intentional. No, it's not. They don't spray pesticides on crops to unintentionally kill animals. It's done. And they pay ranchers or farmers pay people to shoot rabbits and deer and everything. I mean, it's intentional. And so, but did you have an ethical quandary at some point? I mean, were you ever into this meat is murder type of thing?
No,
You never did that?
no,
Okay,
I
good for you.
didn't. In fact, I grew up in a family of hunters. So I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. And so go Bills. But so I grew up in a lot of the guys in my family were hunters. And so we had a lot of venison. So if I did eat meat, I actually ate more venison than I did beef. So yeah, it wasn't something that I ever jumped on board of the vegan. In fact, I probably thought it was very peculiar and extreme. I think I always thought, there was a time in life that people were hunter-gatherers and that they didn't have access to all of that. So how do you say that this is the only way? I felt like there was a lot of dogma to it. And so, no, I never subscribed to that at all.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, because I encounter a lot of these really hardcore activists, and I almost say, well, if you want to be like that, then maybe you have to stay vegan for the rest of your life. That'll be your curse, because
Yeah.
even if you don't want to, you got to stay vegan because you've kind of shamed everybody else. And there's a lot of them that 5, 10 years in, 20 years. I've seen people 30 years into a vegan diet. Finally, it catches up to them, and they go like, my health just collapsed. And if you were to say, well, you got to continue eating vegan now, what would they do? Because they've lobbied so hard for people to try to ban meat and things like that. So It's an interesting perspective. So your diet, you said you include a little bit of fruit in it. So, I mean, what does your diet look like today? Or what has it evolved over the last year since
Yeah.
2019, or how did it go?
So I still do a lot of fasting. So I'll do intermittent fasting. And then I'll do like some eggs, usually avocado, is something that I'll usually add in there. Um, and then I only eat maybe like twice a day. I went through menopause early because of the cancer. And so I'm like 48 at this point. And so I just don't have the caloric needs that I once did. And so I do, some eggs, and then I'll do some raw cheese. Sometimes I will, get some of that. And then usually at night we'll do, a steak or hamburgers, or, the only thing I don't eat a lot of pork. I don't really like pork, but chicken we'll eat, but I really love a ribeye. Like that is like my favorite thing now,
Yeah,
which is so funny.
I mean, clearly fat content. I mean, and I think that's something that, if you're not eating any significant carb, now you're having some fruit, so you're having some, but for me, like I don't eat any fruit. I don't eat any carb. Basically, I mean, there's a trace amount in eggs, but I mean, I'm generally as close to zero carb as you can
Right.
be. And so I need the fat. I mean, I need enough fat. I don't necessarily have to overindulge in it and just pour gobs of butter for me personally. But if I don't eat, if I'm eating lean meat and nothing and no carbs and no fat, I'm going to be miserable. So, I mean, there's some issues with that, but yeah, ribeye is pretty good. It's unfortunately, they don't make all ribeye cows. So you got to have the, there's some other good cuts out there, and, ground beef, because somebody was, asking, what if you can't eat ribeye? I said, well, ground beef uh, uh, is a good option, for a lot of people. Do you, as far as, people around you I mean, you obviously said your family was glad to see you do this, but it sounds like you have some sort of fitness related interest. I mean, is that part of what you do for a living now? Is that
Yes. Yeah. I'm a fitness and nutrition and life coach.
so? And what the people you I mean, how long have you been doing that? And were you did people that know you back when you were more plant based?
Yeah.
Now they see you went through colon cancer. Now you're on an all meat diet. What do they think about this?
Um, well, I think, I'm out on the social medias like TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff. So, I share a lot of my journey. So you will have people that will come at you and be like, that can, you're going to get cancer again. And then I usually say, well, I did all these other things before and I got cancer anyway. So, and I'm feeling better. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I can't deny the results that I feel at this point. My family, I think, like I said, I have two boys. They love this. My husband loves this. My mom probably was more into eating like fruits and vegetables and stuff. So she's sort of like, whoa, but she's not going to really judge it. And as far as clients go, I ended up taking, I wrote like just a small ebook, to help some of my clients that have had issues for years with hormonal problems like PCOS as they're transitioning into menopause, things like that. And I'll say, I want to suggest that you just give this a try. Like try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, and just evaluate and see how you feel. And I mean, I think every single person I've suggested that to has improved. They've lost weight, they feel better, their energy is better. And I think especially, my clientele is older now. I have more people, over 40. I have some people in their 60s. And, with sarcopenia, how we start to lose muscle mass, I think the fact that they're upping their proteins more too seems to be helping just their ability to keep themselves fit and healthy.